Hey guys, so in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make some photo transfer coasters, or little plaques, whatever you want to call it. So you're just going to need some wood plaques, some Mod Podge, some regular gel. I got it in matte, it's just a gel medium, and then some Mod Podge. I also got this in matte, but you can choose whatever you would like. Then I just got some white acrylic paint, that's optional, you'll see why later. Then I also got some pink spray paint, which is optional. Then I went ahead and resized my pictures to how I would like them, and if you're doing anything with words on it, I would flip it just so because of how it photo transfers later. And then I went ahead and painted my coasters just because I wanted them to have a white finish underneath and not a wood finish, but that's optional. If you would like to have a wood finish, just don't paint it, or you can paint it any color you would like. So I just took my piece of paper and pressed it down where I wanted to cut around onto the wet paint just so I could have the exact size I needed. And as you can see, it just left a little bit of a white mark, and I just cut outside that line just slightly so I would have enough room to adjust if needed. And then I just went ahead and did the exact same thing, pressing down on the wet paint and moving it to make sure everything was going to be on the coaster how I wanted it to be. Then I went ahead and cut that one as well. And then I just flipped those over to dry, and then I repainted the coasters just to give them a complete second coat. And to make sure they are all dry, I just tapped my finger to it and made sure it was all dry because you do not want it to be wet at all. And just to make sure there's no lines, also I just patted it down because you want a smooth surface as much as you can. And then I took my regular gel matte medium and painted on the picture side of the picture that I'm using. And you want a really thin layer of that on there, and then I just flipped that upside down and pressed it down onto the coaster. And you're going to want to make sure there's no air bubbles in it because those places will end up white. So I just took a old gift card and smoothed it all out. Then I did the exact same thing for the other piece and just painted a thin layer on there and pressed it down like so. Then you want to let this sit for 8 hours. You can let it sit overnight, that's the easiest way to do it, but I just set my alarm for, or timer for 8 hours. And while I was waiting, I spray painted the sides on the rose one to make it like really go together, I think. So then I went ahead and cut off the sides before the timer went off, and right when the timer went off, I took my wet towel and pressed down onto the things to give it what I needed to give it. And as you can see, I just squeezed out some water also. And then you're just going to want to rub your finger onto the paper, and the top layer of paper is going to come off and the ink stays on the wood. And you're going to want to do this really gently because you don't want to rub off the ink as well. And it's going to kind of have like a rustic look to it. It's not going to be perfect, but I think that looks really cool. Then you're going to want to wait for that wetness to dry off, and then take your Mod Podge and spread a thin layer just to make it waterproof if you're using these as coasters, and just to give it a nice finish at the end. And I really loved how these turned out, so I hope you guys enjoyed. And I will see you next week.